What's up, Ravi? You're muted. I can hear you.
Hey, Shalom Aleichem. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Because I have how many shiurim a day do you have like this?
So we have we have like 7 classes a day.
You know how much really like a regular?
Yeah, in the beginning it was like 4 classes, but now they like upped it because this is more long term. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how long it's going to be, but correct.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm ready for the world to move back to the way it's supposed to be also.
Yeah. I'm gonna finish reading Parakut text. I just saw the email this morning.
You do your thing. I'm going to go get a drink of water for myself anyway. Okay.
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 Rabbi. Baruch Hashem. It's busy, huh?
Yeah, things are pretty hectic. I'm glad that almost the entire class is here on time, even though it's a different link. I'm not sure if they had time to prep Parakut Tet, Rabbi Horn. So
I'll make it work.
you'll fill them in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll start off. We'll take a look. People can see the Marmakoma. They can see the. It's just psukim.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Rabbi Israel, you're going to do the intro?
Yeah, I was going to do a pretty quick intro. I just want to shut down my the live casting is messing up. There we go. Okay. So I think it's a relatively small group, right? 29. Rabbi Hain.
22 students.
22 students. So has it been working to just let them unmute themselves?
Yeah, that's what you should do. They're pretty used to it. I'm going to mute myself too because I got a lot of people in the background here.
Fantastic.
Hi, Rabbi Israel.
Hello. Who am I looking at? I'm not seeing anyone.
That was Isaac Deutsch, your neighbor.
Isaac Deutsch. Beautiful.
Stanford Unite.
Yep.
Oh, there he is. I see. Okay, Rabbi, are we ready to start?
Yeah, ready to go.
Okay. It's a pleasure that the RZA-Mizrachi can be involved, and of course, our connection with SAR is very strong. We're pleased to give Rabbi Hain at least a few moments of a break today, and you have a very special treat in HaRav Jesse Horn, who is the senior Ram at HaKotel, and I think you'll have a real pleasure in the next 45 minutes or so to review Shmot Yud Tet and a new way to look at the text. I know not everyone had a chance to review. We're going to keep you started muted, and you'll unmute yourselves as needed. Okay, and I'll put the spotlight on Rabbi Horn, and you should all have the text in front of you on the screen share.
Just one
Okay.
personal note. I want to thank Rabbi Horn for taking some time to give a shiur, and thank Rabbi Israel for arranging for this shiur. And I want to thank the students for delaying their lunch for 40 minutes to switch the period slot, and look forward to learning with Rabbi Horn and with all of you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. It's good to be here. So I want to start off with a Rashi that, frankly, when I heard it, it made me, it brought up a sarcastic side of my personality, which I wasn't happy with, and I really looked for a solution. Let me share with you the Rashi. If you notice, as we go through the psukim, you'll see, if you want to skip now to Pasuk Gimel already, you can see it. When the angels come to Lot, Lot feeds them matzah. He fills them mishte umatzot afa v'yochelu, they eat it. He gives them matzah. Anyone know why, at least according to Rashi, quoting the Medrash, Chazal, why were they eating matzah? Now, I don't have everyone's
It was
picture.
Pesach.
There you go. Good. Feel free to call that. It was Pesach. Correct. Now, when I first read that Rashi, I almost said, like, really? Like, it's so superficial. Was there no deeper analysis that Chazal can do than just, oh, they were eating matzah? The only rational explanation is Pesach. If you ever met, like, one of these people who are, like, really sarcastic.
Why else would you eat matzah?
What?
Why else would you eat matzah?
I hear, but my initial reaction was like almost a little bit disappointing. I felt like, is there no more deep intellectual understanding, no more sophisticated approach than just matzah, 2 and 2 equals 4, and there we go. I remember, like, if you know someone who's like sarcastic and cynical and like, oh, classic Chazal, classic Medrash, you know, they're always living out in La La Land where you can do miracles all the time, and come on, stick to the pshat type of people. This is like perfect bait for those type of people. Here's like a great example to almost be dismissive of Chazal. What I'd like to do in the next 40 minutes or so is share with you just a little bit, scratch some of the surface of what I think Chazal had in mind here, and share with you some of the depth, and share with you why I think in this particular case, and frankly in cases in general, when Chazal have these lines, you know, that can be seen as superficial, I think there's a lot of depth to it. Let me just strengthen the question a little more, because if the question wasn't clear, Lot probably didn't keep all the mitzvos. I don't even know if the Avos did. That's a big machlokas. But even if they did, it's difficult to imagine Lot was eating matzah on Pesach, particularly because Pesach didn't happen yet. In other words, you shouldn't be remembering an event that did not yet occur. We don't celebrate Mashiach coming until he comes. It doesn't make sense for Lot, a guy who's not that frum, to be celebrating a holiday that doesn't exist. That's really the question. And therefore, is there any more depth to what's going on with this particular Rashi, with this particular medrash that Rashi's quoting? That's the opening question. What I'd like to do with you together is really just look at, ideally, if we had enough time, we'd read through the whole story and, even more. But I want to go through the first 17 psukim with you carefully together and try to hopefully uncover a little bit of what I think Chazal saw and try our best to put the idea together. Okay, I'll start off reading and let's see where this takes us. Vayavo shnei malachim stoma. The two angels come to Stone. Ba'erev. They come evening time. And I was always interested, like when the Torah tells you things that I would not have included myself, like why is it important in evening time? Who cares when they came? Is it important they came 5 o'clock versus 10 o'clock in the morning? I don't know. Like evening time is a nice time to come, but like any time would have been fine by me. Fine, let's put that in the back of our minds. Lot Yoshev Bishar Stone. Lot is sitting at the gate of Stone. I guess like probably, if you can picture it, on the borderline. Let's say here's the border of the city. Lot's right inside, sitting right by the gate at the borderline of the city. Vayar Lot vayakam lekratam vayishtachu apayim arza. He runs out to go greet them. He leaves the city. He goes to greet them, and he bows down to them, welcoming, saying hello. Vayomer, and he says, Hinei na Adoni. Hinei na Adoni. Suruna el beis avdechem. Come, stay beis avdechem. Come stay in my house. Velinu, sleep over. V'rachetzu raglechem. And you can wash your feet. V'shkamtem v'lachtem adarkechem. Before we get to their answer, we just kind of put a little bit of background information because I think their answer is really shocking, but you could miss it, unless you really have a little bit of a perspective. Let me share with you what I'm talking about. Why, if I had to ask you, and feel free to chime in, why are the angels coming to Stone? What are they looking to do there? Like they're not on vacation. What do they do there? Feel free. What do the angels come to Stone for?
They're there to send the message to Lot.
Send a message, correct. What's that message?
That he has to leave.
Yeah, to save Lot, to send him, tell Lot it's time to go, or to save Lot. Now, if I sent you to go find a person in Brooklyn named Chaim Cohen, and you walk into the first pizza store you find in Flatbush, and turns out there's a guy there who has, some type of like shirt on that says, "Hi, I'm Chaim Cohen," that's an unbelievable thing. How was I going to find this guy? It's kind of like the lottery ticket fell right into your hands. He just kind of lucked right out. Look at the first guy you saw. This is their golden ticket. This is exactly what they're looking for. And therefore, when Lot says, "Why don't you come join us? Why don't you come sleep in my house?" That sounds like a perfect opportunity. Like there's no way they should miss that opportunity. Yet what's their response? Vayomru lo, no thanks. Why not? They must have some, tickets to sleep in the Ritz-Carlton. Who knows what? Keep a rachov nolim. We prefer to sleep in the street. Strange. I have to figure out why. They must have some good reason that they don't want to stay at Lot's house, right? In other words, if they want to sleep in the street, it's not because it's comfortable. It must be because, like, we better not go to Lot's house for whatever reason why. And I don't know what that reason is, but they should be persistent on that, right? Fair? If that's correct, Vayiftzar ba ma'od pasuk gimel, Lot nudges them. Now, how do I know he nudges them a lot? No.
It says it in the shot.
Ma'od, he nudges them a lot. Vayasuru elav v'yavo el beso. And the angel's like, well, if you bother us enough, we'll finally go. And you wonder, are the angels fickle? Do they not know what they're looking for? Yes, no, which way is it? In other words, kind of like make up your mind. It's odd that they seem so persistent at first in not going to Lot's house, and then fine, he nudges us enough, we may as well go. Which makes me wonder, what really were the angels coming to do? If they were coming to save Lot, they probably would have taken advantage of this opportunity and either taken him and left, or immediately said yes to his invitation. And that kind of reinforces maybe a bigger question, which is, what are the angels coming to do if they're not coming to quickly take Lot or quickly warn him or tried to save him and his family, if you want to save him and his family, you say yes when he offers you. And that's going to kind of open up a question, which is, again, what are the angels trying to do here? Okay, he offers them some food and drink, and they move on, and they eat it. Pasuk Dalet. Now, again, the Torah doesn't always tell us a time, but here it does. Terem yishkevu. Now it's just before they go to bed. So beforehand it was evening time, at dinner time, I don't know, 6, 7 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Now it's before they go to bed. I don't know, 7, 8, 9 o'clock, probably 2 or 3 hours later. I'm not sure why it's important to know that time, how much time elapses, but the Torah, for some reason, thinks it's important to inform us of that. Let's continue. Who comes to Lot's house? Yeah, say that. Everyone, correct. Minar v'yad zaken. Pasuk. Vayikru el Lot vayomru ayeh anashim asher bo elecha laila hotzia meleinu v'nei da'usam. This is like the welcoming committee of Stone. Bring them out. We want to neda'usam. We want to sodomize them. It's that word sodomize. If anyone's interested in, like, where the word came from, it comes from the word stone. They wanted to sodomize these men. They wanted to rape these men. Pasuk vav vayetzi alehem Lot. Lot walks out. Why is Lot going out? You'll see in a second. We'll have a conversation. HaPesach, he walks through the door. And here's interesting. Vadela sagar HaRav, and he closes the door afterwards. That's like the type of detail that you'd want a chumash to leave out. You with me? What color shirt was Lot wearing? Was he saving money on air conditioning by closing the front door? Like, these are details you would not expect chumash to include. At least one. You don't have to answer all these questions. We're going to try to, but at least you should notice this is the type of question that one should wonder: why is this a piece of information that the Torah cares about? With me, we're good, yeah? Okay. Pasuk Zayin. Vayomar alna achai tareyu. My brethren, don't do bad. Hine lish and hine li. Get ready for this. If you don't know what's coming up, buckle up. If you do know, so you have to buckle up anyway. Hine no lishtevanot asher lo yadu ish. I have these 2 daughters who are virgins. Otziana eshem alechem v'asulehem ketov benechem rak l'shmayel atzu davar. Lot then says, okay, people of Stone. Now, I don't want you to touch my guests. And I know you guys are interested in like a night that you've been planning. So I have a little bit of a deal. Why don't you take my daughters and, literally do asulahem ketov be'enechem. Just please don't hurt these guests. Now, there's no question that Lot's behavior is horrific and bad and terrible and atrocious and abominable and vulgar and vile. And you can go on. Like, this may be one of the worst acts anyone does in all of Sefer Bereshis. My question is not to justify it. Chas v'shalom. My question is to understand it. What's he thinking? Who in their right mind cares so much about taking care of guests and watching guests and being a good machnis orchim and being a proper host? And like, that's what they do with their daughters. It's not just like, again, if the guy's a Russia, he's a Russia, but he seems to be like so interested in taking care of the guests, and yet simultaneously he's just such an awful, awful man. It's just perplexing. My question is not how do you justify his act. My question is how do you understand him? What's his mindset? What's his mentality? What's Lot thinking? You got that question? Let's continue along. Pasuk Tes. Vayomru gash halav vayomru achad balagor vayishpash aparata neram lecha mehem v'yivtzuba ba'ish balod ma'od vayigashu lishbardel. The people of Stone today, how do they take Lot's musar shmooze? Well or not well? Yeah, not well at all. They're like, you come to live with us, you're going to give up musar, and they come to break down his door. Now again, the angels schlep Lot in, physically bring him in, close the door afterwards. That's like a tough word in Hebrew.
Sanverim.
Sorry, even better. Sanverim, thank you. He blinds them all, and they can no longer see the door. And because they're blind, they don't know how to find it. It must be more than just blinding them, because like they could probably feel it. The angels did some type of miracle, some type of magic, some type of something or other, and the people there are dumbfounded and incapable and able to find the door. Now the angels say to Lot, "Oh milacha po, who's here with you? Chatan, uvanecha, uvnosecha, v'chol asher lecha be'ir hot seimen hamakom. Gather everyone and get up. This place is going to blow." Why? God sent these angels to destroy it. We send it, and therefore, like, let's get out of here. Pasuk Yadal. Vayetze Lot then goes out. Vayidaber el chosnav lokchei benosav. He talks to his sons-in-laws. Vayomru kumu tzu min hamakom hazeh ki mashchit Hashem et ha'ir vayihi mitzachek be'enei chosnav. Lot says to his son, let's get out of here. How do his sons-in-laws handle it? Do they take it seriously? Not at all. They see it as a joke. Pasuk Tezvav, and this is like the next. I think these next two words are really interesting. 3 words. Ukimo hashachar Allah. Ukimo hashachar Allah. Next morning. Now I don't know what took place. Were they arguing all night long, Lot and his sons-in-laws? Did they just go to sleep? I don't know, but 6 or 7 hours took place. Just went by because it was 10 o'clock at night. Now it's like 5 in the morning, approximately. So the whole night went by. And again, Chumash is telling you the time, which is again uncommon for most of Chumash, but very common for this story, as we're beginning to see. Who's no longer invited to be saved?
The sons-in-law.
Yeah, the sons-in-law, the Chanotecha, and that makes a little bit of sense. They probably weren't going to come anyway. They certainly were sarcastic about it. Now you'd imagine Lot came in all hysterical to his sons-in-laws. Let's go. Is Lot ready to go quickly? What word in Pasuk Tez Zayin tells me he's not?
Vayitmahmah.
Yeah, Vayismamah, he tarries, he delays, he hesitates. And not only that, Vayechaziku an Hashem biyado, uviyad ishto, v'yad shnei b'nosav, v'chemlat Hashem alav, v'yetzu enechum el chutzer. The angels have to physically grab him and pull him out. Not only does he hesitate, but I don't even know if he was going to go on his own, which is really strange because he knew the place was going to be destroyed. He just told his sons-in-laws last night. Now, does Lot deserve to be saved? Well, we're going to get back to that in a minute. But which 2 words indicate that? Maybe not. Which 2 words in the pasuk?
Bechemlat Adonai.
Correct. It seems like Hashem has Rachmanis on him. One more pasuk Yud Zayin. I think this is maybe one of the most, eyebrow-raising, strange, curious psukim. Vayhi kehotziam osam hachutza. They go out. Vayomer himaled al nafshecha. Save yourself. Al tabir acharecha. Don't look back. Val tamod b'chalak yikar hara himalei pen tisafeh. Don't look back. And what's the punishment for looking back? You're going to be destroyed. Matter of fact, who does look back? Yeah, Lot's wife. Now, I'm a little curious on 2 levels. Level number 1 is, what's so bad about looking back? Frankly, I'd be so curious. It must be really interesting to see what that looks like. Like, why is that important that they not look back, number 1? And number 2 is, where is the Torah's moral code? You have a man who offers his daughters away to a rape, culture, to a rape mob, and like the Torah passes no judgment on him. Like that, the Torah is not bothered by. When Lot wants to send his daughters there, that's fine. But when his wife looks back, that punished by death. Now, where are the values? Like, what is going on here? Why is that so criminal? Why is that so bad? Why is the Torah disappointed, or so much so that like they're willing to, that you get killed for? Why does the Torah care so much about looking back? So those are basically the questions that I think jump off the text. It could be there are more questions that I mixed. I'm not saying I'm going to answer all the questions in the world, but I think those are like a lot of the basic shot questions that kind of jump off the text when you read through carefully, which I tried to do. Okay. I want to share with you a bunch of hypotheses, a bunch of theories, one after the next, and hopefully they're true. And hopefully they'll answer a lot of questions, both that we asked and above and beyond. So let's see where that takes us. Okay. The first theory I'd like to share with you is that, let me start off with a little bit of a theory, even before, like a background information type of thing. I'm a big believer that this perek is Lot's perek. You with me? If you wanted to learn about Lot in Chumash. So it's true there are a couple hints here and there that probably would be important pieces of the puzzle. But frankly, this is like Lot's story. This is a story dedicated towards Lot. And therefore, you'd like to believe that this story captures who Lot is. And therefore, the question we're going to ask, or one of the questions we're going to ask is, who is Lot? Let me start off with the background information. We'll try to go back into this story. I think Lot spends half of his life with Abraham and half of his life in Sodom, because Lot is a person who identifies half with Abraham and half with Sodom. He kind of sits on the fence. He tries to dance in both weddings. In our world, Lot's the guy who, Shalosh time closes his eyes, put his tzitzis out and sings like this. And Motzi Shabbos, he's high and drunk and convincing some girl to kiss him. And don't worry, he's got a hat on, so no one will know that. He's too frum, no one will, you know what I'm saying? Like living in both worlds, trying his best to. Matter of fact, when Lot goes to Sodom, if you have a chumash, you can take a look. If not, look later. Parak Yud Pasuk Yud Gimel. No, it's Yud Gimel Yud. I apologize. He goes to Sodom, and because he wants a place that's Kigan Hashem, Ke'eretz Mitzrayim. Gan Hashem, good or bad? Good. Eretz Mitzrayim, good or bad? Bad. Which one does Lot want? I would think Lot wants both. I think he spends half of his life by Abraham because he identifies with Abraham, and he spends half of his life with Sodom because he feels very comfortable and he identifies with Sodom. The question that the angels are coming, the question, why are the angels coming? I don't think they're coming to save Lot. I think they're coming to determine whether he's worthy of salvation. I think they're coming to test him out. They're coming to see, is Lot Sodom or is he Abraham? Is there enough Abraham in him? Or is he too deeply connected to Sodom and therefore we're not going to save him? That's the $1 million question. And therefore, when they approach him, where is he sitting? Right on the borderline. He runs out to greet them and he says, why don't you come to my house? Why don't you come over? I'll have dinner. You'll come in. We'll take care of you. How's he doing so far? Great. Thumbs up. He's a tremendous machnas archim. And then the angels say, nah, we can sleep on the floor in stone. We're okay. And Lot does not allow for that. Absolutely not. Under no circumstances. Again, he's a great host. And I think that's why the angels go back and forth. They're trying to see how good of a host he is. Then he welcomes them in. He offers them dinner. He gives them mishteh. He gives them matzah. And then, unfortunately, the townsmen, the people of Sodom, Minav Yadzak, and they all come knocking on the door, trying to sodomize, to know him in the biblical sense. And Lot walks out to defend them. He even closes the door behind him to protect them. And that's why I think the Torah mentions that detail. He says, my brethren, Al Tariu, don't do this. You guys are better than this. Lot will stop at nothing to be a tremendous machnas archim. Where do you think he learned it from? From Abraham. Lot excels at ben adam le chavera. He's incredible. He welcomes them in. He takes care of them. He is kind and sensitive and generous and caring. Where Lot comes up short is ben adam lemakom. He has no sense of ethics, no sense of morality. He has no sense of sexual promiscuity. And therefore, I think he does not want his guests to be raped because they don't want to. There's no consent. And if there's no consent, it's wrong. That's the perspective you have if you believe rape is only ben adam lechavero, because you don't believe in ben adam lemakom. And therefore, Lot's own daughters, who frankly I think were not virgins, I think he lied, but maybe we'll get to that later if there's time. They grew up in Sodom. They grew up in this sexually, vulgar culture. Matter of fact, when they leave, what's the first thing they do when they get out? They get their father drunk and rape him. I think that's not a virgin's actions. I think Lot's lying. I think he's just trying to take care of his guests at all costs. His daughters grew up in this culture. They may have been part of the last welcoming committee. They grew up in Sodom. This is not sexually appalling to them. And therefore, Lot's point is, if my daughters are game, knowing them, they probably are, take someone else. It's okay. Sexual promiscuity doesn't bother me as long as it's consensual. And that's exactly where Lot stands. It's somewhat reminiscent of today's culture. Bein Adam L'Makom, that's optional if you want. Bein Adam L'Chaveru, that's like Mamash Yarg Vayavar. Lot stands for incredible sensitivity of people, but has no sense of objective morality. And that's where it gets tricky. Now there's a real dilemma. Does Lot deserve to be saved? Is he worthy of salvation? Is he someone who the angels should bring out? And the answer is, well, it's really, really tough. It's a tough call. And the angels pull Lot back inside and say, let's get out of here. They're still willing to save him. Bechemlat Hashem, not because he deserves it, because Hashem has mercy on him. And now the $1 million question is, does Lot disassociate himself enough to be willing to leave? You can take the man out of the stone, but can you take the stone out of the man? And that's the question. And they say to him, get your family and go. And he's originally excited. And all night long, he's not willing to go or not ready to go or who knows what. And in the morning, he's still not ready. Vayismahama. And he tarries and he hesitates and he waits and he's not yet ready. Lot cannot disassociate himself from stone, and the angels have to physically pull him out, reinforcing the fact that he's not yet ready to go. And then the angels have the final test. Can you turn your back on stone and not look back at it with your face? Can you leave stone behind you? The reason why Lot's wife died is not because she did a criminal act. It's because she failed the test of disconnecting from stone, of disassociating herself with stone. Lot barely makes it, only bechemlat Hashem. Lot and his daughters barely make it. They make it for one reason, which is they learned enough of Hachnasas Archim from Avraham. They have enough of Bein Adam L'Chaveru. And a matter of fact, the story that takes place afterwards, Lot's daughters rape him. Why? Sexual promiscuity out the window, but they get him drunk first because they do not want him to feel bad about it. Reinforcing the values that culture has. How are we doing? So far, so good?
He doesn't actually leave the Kikar, though. He first goes to SAR.
You're right. There's a lot to be said about that. If we have more time, we'll get to it. I'm just afraid I'm going to run out of time, and I got a lot more to say. There's a lot to be said about Lot unable to fully leave and only going to Tzohar. You're 100% right. Other questions? Otherwise, I want to get to the next level. Next, what I'd like to suggest is that Lot is a borderline character, literally on the border. And that's why the story opens up, placing him geographically on the border, to reflect ideologically who he is, to reflect religiously who he is. He's a guy who sits on the border, and that's what the Torah opens up, by putting him on the border. But one step sharper. Is he on the border? No, he's just inside of stone, because he doesn't have a 65 to pass. He's a 64.4. He can't even round up. He's just on the inside. What allows him to leave? He physically leaves to go greet the angels, which cultivates enough religious strength to just, in other words, it's his chesed, it's his running out, it's his being machnes archim, it's his good being a host, which enables him to leave stone, which, in other words, it lines up. His physical leaving of stone is what it causes him to have the schus to be saved. And perhaps that's exactly what's going on in this story, which captures Lot's borderline-like character. If this is correct, let's take it to the next level. What I'd like to suggest is that, and here we're going to get back to the opening question and try to put it all together. What I'd like to suggest is that this story over here parallels another story in Chumash, the story of Makos Bechoros, the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim, the story of Karban Pesach. And let me share with you the similarities. On the most basic level, you have a small group of innocent people surrounded by a tremendous amount of wicked, evil people who are about to be destroyed. And God takes the inner people, Lot and his family, Klal Yisrael, out of the larger environment, larger culture, larger world outside, and saves the innocent people from all of the wicked surrounding people. Hashem does it in a supernatural way. Hashem does it adjacent to a bris. The previous psukim in Bereshis, the previous parak or so, is about Avram having a bris, and in Shmos, Yud Beis Mem Dalid, Klal Yisrael also has a bris. More than that, for Lot to be saved, he and his family have to remain indoors to be protected from the outside world. So too when they left and God passes over house to house, they have to remain indoors in order to be protected from all the danger and destruction on the outside. The major feature in this story is the door. The major feature in Shmos Yud Beis is the door. This story is the creation of a brand new nation. Once they leave, you have Ammon and Moab. And in Sefer Shmos, you also have a brand new nation, Klal Yisrael. The destruction of Sodom is similar to the destruction of Mitzrayim. Fireballs hail down as part of a colossal destruction. And perhaps most sharp, just before destroying Sodom, the angels blind the residents and they can't find the door, mimicking just before the 10th plague where the Jews leave, the 9th plague, which is Choshech. Well done. Blindness, inability to see just before Exodus. And if you're not yet convinced, listen to what Chazal have to say. Kishem shehafach Sodom balayla, kach harad b'chorei Mitzrayim balayla. Just like God destroyed Sodom at night, so too he wanted to do the same with Mitzrayim. Clearly indicating there's a parallel. And there's a linguistic parallel. We don't have enough time to do all the words, but the words bayis, the words mashchit, the words kum and kumu and bayis mahama, vayachaziku come up, many words come up over and over and over again. And if you're not yet convinced already that there is an intentional similarity, the only two times I can think of where any people eat matzah are these two stories. And I think that's what Chazal mean when they said Pesach Haya. I don't know if it means it was the 15th of Nisan. I don't know if it means on the calendar it was Pesach. It means conceptually this was a Pesach experience. Now, the $1 million question is, and I'll take your questions in a minute or two. The $1 million question becomes, why would the Torah do this? Like, okay, you've uncovered some type of really clever parallel, but why would you intentionally do that? Why would the Torah, again, I think there's too many similarities, both linguistically and thematically, to choke this up as a coincidence. One or two, it's a coincidence, but it's like 15, 20 here. What is the point? And before I share you what I think the answer is, I want to make one more set of points, and then I'll take your questions. Hold on, I appreciate you waiting a little more. I got a lot more to get in and not as much time as I thought I was going to. I may have to hold on and do questions afterwards, we'll see. Not only are there a lot of parallels and similarities, there are a lot of opposites as well. And those, I don't know if anyone's exposed to my Tanakh stuff. This is what I do. I love this stuff. In addition to parallels, there's a lot of opposites. In other words, if I would say apple and blue, would be random. If I would say cup and then I would say ceiling, it'd be random. But if I would say tall and short, it's clearly I'm showing contrast. If I would say fat and skinny, light and dark, fast and slow, I'm clearly showing contrast. There's a lot of opposites here, showing contrast as well. For example, in Bereshis, the guests eat matzah coming in. In Shemos, they don't eat matzah coming in, they eat matzah going out. The exact opposite. In Bereshis, it's the people who are, but in Shemos, it's the people who are saved are eating matzah. In Bereshis, it's the people who are saved are feeding people matzah. The exact opposite. In Bereshis, the key prop, the key object that's focused upon is the door. In Shemos, it's actually not the door. It's the door frames, the mezuzot, and the mashkim. It's everything but the door. It's the exact opposite of the door. What could be more of the opposite of the door than the door frame? More than that. How does Lot get out of stone? He's pulled out. How did the Jews get out of Mitzrayim? They are pushed out. The exact opposite. In Sefer Bereshis, Hashem does not go himself. He sends angels. In Sefer Shemos, Hashem goes himself. Ani v'lo malach, ani v'lo saraf, ani v'lo acher, I and nobody else. In Sefer Bereshis, the pasuk says, Hashofet kol haaretz lo yaseh mishpat. God is the shofet. While in Sefer Shemos, it's Aseh shfatim, ani Hashem. God is not the shofet. He's making others the shofet. In Sefer Shemos, Parak Yud Gimel, pasuk Gimel, the Jews leave Beis Avdechem. Take a look in Shemos Yud Tes Beis. Where does Lot welcome them into? Beis Avdechem, the exact same words. In Sefer Bereshis, Lot stalls, he hesitates, he tarries. Vayis Mahama. In Sefer Shmos, the Torah says the Jews, V'lo yachlu lehismama. They could not stall, they could not hesitate, they could not tarry, the exact opposite. Bnei Yisrael leave. Pardon me. In Stone, the city is destroyed after they leave. In Shmos, it's destroyed while they're before they leave. Bnei Yisrael leave and Lot leave, and then there's like this intimate type of something or other. Lot has a vulgar, vile, disgusting relationship. He's raped by his daughters, and Klal Yisrael, by stark contrast, marry HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so to speak, at Har Sinai when they receive the Torah. What I'd like to suggest is that the parallels of this story are designed to draw our attention to it, to realize the difference. And now the million-dollar question becomes, what's the difference? What is the theme of the Shmos story, and how is it the opposite of the Bereshis story? And I can't know for sure, but I'll share with you my speculation. Here's what I'd like to suggest. What I'd like to suggest is that Lot comes up short. Lot is unable, he's incapable of disconnecting, disassociating, and leaving Sodom behind. The goal of Yitzias Mitzrayim was for Hashem to take us out, leaving Mitzrayim behind, disassociating, disconnecting from their culture, leaving the Egyptian culture behind us. So much so that the Ramban even says the reason is because that was the Egyptian God. We are looking to stick it to them. We're looking to say, we are not Egyptian. We don't have this value system. We don't have this culture. The goal is to leave Mitzrayim not the way that Lot left. The goal is to leave with a sense of full disconnect, to leave quickly, not to hesitate, to run out, to be pushed out, not to be pulled out, to be pushed out because the Mitzrayim say, get out of here, your God is winning and we're losing. To make a clear theological point with ideological ramifications, the ones that Lot is incapable of doing. Matter of fact, the Korban Pesach is exactly the mitzvah which shows Jewish identity, so much so that it's only one of the only two mitzvahs that if you don't do the mitzvah, and it's a mitzvah saseh that you don't do, you get kares. Not so much because it's a punishment, it's a natural ramification. If you don't identify with God and his nation, you get cut off. Not so much as a punishment, but because you chose to get cut off by not being involved with the Shchitas HaPesach. Matter of fact, it's not even the eating of the Pesach. It's the Shchitas HaPesach to show the Egyptian God we condemn, we disagree with, we disconnect, we disassociate ourselves from you and your religion, you and your God, etc., etc. If this is correct, one or two more small things, and then maybe one more medium thing if there's enough time. How much time do I have?
We have lunch afterwards. We have lunch afterwards.
One or two small things, no more, no medium thing afterwards. One or two small things and we're done. We were noting that the Lot story started out evening, went to night, and then got to the morning. If you look, so too, the Korban Pesach is shechted bein harbayim, eaten balayla. However, it's not the beginning of the morning where Klal Yisrael go out. When do they go out? Be'etzem hayom hazeh. As if they had the full process, and Lot got cut short. Lot was incapable of leaving the way they did in the full way. He kind of cut it short, and that's why he goes to Tzohar. Matter of fact, Lot's name comes from Himalet, which means to escape, to run out, to flee, not to leave properly. Whereas Klal Yisrael leave properly, Be'etzem hayom hazeh, where they tell everyone, we are leaving. And the Medrash even says, based upon this idea, if anyone wants to know, don't go, you can't go, the answer is we are leaving Be'etzem in the middle of the day with a sense of pride, with a sense of clarity, with a sense of communication of what we believe in. Lot had to sneak out because Lot could not leave the same way Klal Yisrael left. And because I'm short on time, I'll leave out the last point and just get to the quick Musar Haskell. Rav Dessler points out that the goal of Jewish holidays is not to go through them, but for them to go through you, to walk out with a religious development, to have the holiday touch you, to impact you religiously, to grow spiritually, emotionally, somehow. And one of the major goals of Pesach is a sense of identity. I buy in, I commit. God, this is what I want. Pesach is our chance to say, pass over our house because we are not Egyptian. We identify. And that, frankly, is a perfect way to open up the door for Shavuos, where God then tells us how to live as people who want to identify. Mirz Hashem is coming Pesach. We should commit, we should connect, and we should succeed in buying in and not allow for, the low type of experience, but rather a Yetzias Mitzrayim one. Sorry to go over. Great learning with everyone. If you have any questions, feel free to WhatsApp. I'll try to send my thing out if I can do it right now, or my email. And I'd love to, to wish everyone the best.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Horn. Thank you for taking the time. I was hoping that we could just end with a Misha Berach. Is there someone from the students? I think that it's up on your screens, right?
I could.
Is the Misha, okay, would you like to do that? Let's just end with the Misha Berach, having in mind the many cholim who are around us, both in the school community and throughout the world. Go ahead.
משברך אבותינו אברהם, יצחק ויעקב, משה ואהרון, דוד ושלמה, ואמותינו שרה, רבקה, רחל ולאה, הוא יברך וירפא את החולים. בעבור שאנחנו מתפללים לרפאותם, בשכר זה הקדוש ברוך הוא ימלא רחמים עליהם, להחלימם ולרפאותם, להחזיקם ולהחיותם, וישלח להם מהר הרפואה שלמה מן השמיים עם כל חולי ישראל, רפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף, השתה בעגל ובזמן קריב, ונאמר אמן.
Amen. Yes. Thank you again to Rabbi Horn. Thank you, Rabbi Hain, for helping bring us all together. And thank you to the students. Take care of yourselves. Wash your hands. All right. And everyone have a good day. And a Zisen Pesach. Kol Tov.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.